Coding Made Easy.
So what's up, buddies? This is Peter, aka CodingMadeEasy, coming to you guys with my second video of 2020. And this video is going to be an exciting one. In this video, we're going to be talking about why this guy left Ubisoft for good. Why I am done. Why I'm never going to go back to the game industry ever again. Alright? I promise. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. So let's dive right into the video. So we're talking about the gaming industry, right? The gaming industry has become so infamous in the news lately. It's been called a widowmaker by some because of all the crunch that's going on. You're hearing gamers giving death threats to developers. It's a mess. It's a mess right now. But surprisingly, that is not the reason why I actually left, right? So surprisingly, Ubisoft is actually really good about crunch in the gaming industry, which might sound surprising given that you hear all these things about Rockstar and 2K and blah blah. And there's been some things I've heard on Reddit and stuff about, some devs having to work late hours, but that's not the norm actually. It's really not the norm. When I was at Ubisoft, they would actually beg you to actually go home on time to spend time with your family or your loved ones. I remember sometimes I wanted to stay to finish something and my boss would be like, Peter, what are you still doing here? Go home. And yeah, there is crunch, you know what I mean? There's crunch here and there, but I never really felt it, you know what I mean? And maybe it's because the nature of what I did. I was a tools programmer. There were times I saw that people had to work really late, but it wasn't the norm. So that's not the reason why I felt like I had to personally leave. And I was a tools programmer. So the great thing about being a tools programmer, I would recommend it if you guys really want to get in the game industry. But one reason why I loved it was that as a tools programmer, you're basically building tools internally to help everybody get the game done, right? So I worked on Watch Dogs 2, I worked on Watch Dogs Legion. So basically what would happen is I would build, maybe I'm working on the editor, maybe I'm working on different validation tools, maybe I'm working on the automation pipeline, maybe I'm working on distribution pipeline to go to PlayStation or all these different things, right? So my consumers were internal facing. So my consumers were the people actually making the game, right? And so I made some tools that impacted the game, but I never actually made the game itself. So a lot of the people that would get backlash from these games, a lot of people that get backlash are like producers, community managers, wink wink, Call of Duty. It's people that are front facing that impact the game as well. Gameplay programmers, so on and so forth. You see a lot of engine programmers. You see a lot of them getting a lot of backlash on social media, but I didn't feel that, right? Because it didn't affect me at all. Because nobody really cared about what I did. I didn't even know what a tools programmer was before I even started at Ubisoft. Anyways, whatever. Anyway, so let's get down to the reason why I actually did leave. And the reason why I actually did leave is not anything to Ubisoft itself. It's just a general problem that I noticed in larger companies. So the problem was that I just felt like I wasn't growing. Now, a lot of you are like, what do you mean? How are you not growing? It's a big company. There must be so much opportunities. There must be so much jobs. It's Ubisoft. Like what the hell, man? And I agree with you, but the type of guy that I am, if you know me, I'm the type of guy that's always working. I'm always studying. I'm always trying to better myself. Just to give you some context, when I just started programming when I was 14, it was regular, throughout all of high school, I would code literally 10 to 12 hours a day. I would sleep maybe 2-3 hours every night. So I've been passionate. I've been a hard worker for a long time, for most of my life. And because of that, I felt like I was growing. I was reaching new heights, and the way that you leveled up and you climbed the corporate ladder at Ubisoft was a lot slower than what I would have liked it to be. So I was learning a lot tech-wise. I was learning every single day. There's really smart people there. There's also not so smart people there. I'm not gonna name names, but there are a lot of smart people that actually work there, and I loved working with them. I learned from so many different people. I learned things about, I wasn't an engine programmer. I learned things about making like game engines, learned 3D stuff. I learned things from artists. I learned things from so many different people. It was just a haven for all this information. So on the tech side of things, like I was learning a lot, but I really wanted to just climb that ladder because I wanted to, get into management and so on and so forth. Because I wasn't just interested in the tech side, I wanted to get into the business side of things. And I just felt that, well, like, it's not that I just felt, but a lot of moving up in these ladders wasn't just about your skill. It wasn't just your individual skill or your individual knowledge. It was also about who you knew and how long your seniority is, so how long you were actually at the company. And because, like, I'm not into the whole politics thing. I get it. It's something that's in the workplace, but I'm not into the whole politics. Like, you gotta know this guy, you gotta know this guy, blah blah. So I wasn't really interested in any of that. And because I had transferred from Ubisoft Montreal to Ubisoft Toronto, I didn't have as many connections as some other people that started off their career or spent a good number of their years at Ubisoft Toronto, and so I didn't really have a lot of leverage in order to go to the next step. And so for me to take that next step to tech lead or to a team lead or something like that would have taken me an extra year, or take me an extra year at most, right? I was just impatient. Anybody that knows me, I'm very impatient. And when I know that I've reached my threshold and I know I've reached my ceiling, I could get very impatient and I could get really irritated, and I want to just keep getting better, right? Why stop when you can get better? And so I just felt like at that point, it was my time to move on. But I still wasn't really sure. I was like, it's Ubisoft. It was my dream job, blah, blah, blah. Do I really want to actually leave? And so I just, went on LinkedIn, just kept it open, you know what I mean? When an AngelList kept my profile open, I would apply to one place a week or two places a week, whatever. And very quickly, I got a few offers from a couple of places, and it just so happened that I got an offer from my current place, Delvinia. Now, Delvinia is a market research company. It is not in any way related to the gaming industry, and I do web development there now. But at that moment, I was like, wow, like, am I really gonna leave the gaming industry to go into web development? But I was just so intrigued at what they did, but I also liked the fact that it was, I wasn't just a number. I meant something. You know what I mean? And like, I'll talk about it more, but like, even when I saw like Yves Guillemot, like, for the first time, like when he when he came into Ubisoft Montreal, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I've seen this guy on E3 and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, like, I don't really get, like, I'm not a starstruck guy, but it was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. Like, I've seen you on the stage, I've seen you doing that, and now you're right in front of me. But even then, like, he didn't care about me. He didn't know about like what I did. Like, who cares about Peter? You know what I mean? And so because of that, just being a number and all that stuff, and going to like a smaller company where everybody's voice matters, you know what I mean, you have the ability to affect things, like affect culture, affect the direction, affect so many different things. The opportunity to get into leadership, so I'm now a manager there, and so on and so forth. They were just so appealing to me. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to take this leap, and I'm going to, rid my hands of the game industry and get into web development. I never really liked web development, but I saw web development as the future. It would just naturally progress into the future. And so I was like, you know what, maybe it's a good place to get into. And so far, I'm loving it. I don't regret at all leaving the game industry. If I do miss some things, so like, if I do miss anything from Ubisoft, there's just a few things. One of the things is it they have so much talent there, if that makes sense, right? There's just so many talented people at Ubisoft, and such a breadth of knowledge, and it's hard to get all of that talent all into one room, you know what I mean? And so that's one thing I miss, just having those like diverse conversations with so many different types of people, so many different walks of life. Even if it wasn't just tech, it was just so much people, so much to learn from. And the one thing which was like sort of interesting that I tend to miss at times, which I didn't realize, was just what the title gives you. and in social settings. So when you work for a big company, when you work for like a Google, a Netflix, a Ubisoft, a Rockstar, whatever, that name actually holds weight in social settings. And to be honest, apart from us programmers, nobody really cares about what we do. Everybody thinks we're in like we're like some super geniuses, or you know what I mean. We're in our own world by ourselves and whatever, right? So usually people don't care about what you do, but once you actually work at a big company, people then tend to care about what you do. So when I would talk to people and be like, yeah, I work at the tools program at Ubisoft. They're like, oh, you work at Ubisoft? What's the tools program? I'm like, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And like people would be so interested in you, and you would be sort of a person of interest, right? But once you're at a smaller company, no shade at the company. I love you guys. I love you guys. But when you're at a smaller company that's not as well known, right? The name doesn't hold as much weight in social settings. So it's something that I noticed quickly after I switched when I would tell people, hey, I work at Delvinia. And they're like, oh, like what did they do? I'm like, it's a market research company. Oh, cool. You know what I mean? It was kind of like nobody really cared about like what I did. You know what I mean? And so it was super easy to make connections. Like when I was at Ubisoft, because all I have to say is, I work at Ubisoft, and everybody wants to know you. Everybody wants to be your friend. Everybody wants to know like, hey, like what's coming down the pipeline? Can you leak anything? Like it was just a really good conversation starter. But now I've noticed that I've had to develop new ways in order to sort of break the ice into what do I do, and to make what we do sound a lot more interesting. Because it really is. Like I never realized market research, like areas of market research could be so interesting until I actually dove into it. But anyways, I digress. Um, so anyways, that's the reason why I left. Realistically, I just left because of growth. It had nothing to do with the company. It had nothing to do with the people. I love the company. I love the people. I wish them nothing but success. Ubisoft's a great company. I really think if you really want to get in the game industry, I think Ubisoft is a great place to work. Like they really care about your humanity. Even when you check the benefits, they have benefits for literally everything you can think of, right? Like they cover everything. They cover massages. They cover anything for your feet. I think that's orthopedics or whatever. They cover dental. They cover anything you can think of, any ache or pain or whatever you have in your body. It's covered. You know what I mean? And so like they really care about you for the most part. And that's one thing I really appreciate about working there. So I have no ill will towards it. Will I ever work in the gaming industry again? Probably not. You know, I lived my dream. I experienced it. There's nothing that I'm really craving to get out of it anymore. So I might join sometime in the future, but I'm just focused on higher things. I'm focused on, you know, like higher business level things. Like how do I build a team? You know what I mean? How do like the higher up I get, how do you run a sustainable business? How do you contribute to that? How do you impact certain areas? How do you work with certain divisions to make things better? You know, and so I'm really focused on like the business side of things and not so much the tech side of things anymore. And so I don't know if Ubisoft's in store or any other gaming companies in store for me, but right now I'm just really happy with what I'm doing right now. So I don't know. So that's it. I hope that you guys found it interesting. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, I want to do more of these conversational videos. So if you have any topics you want me to talk about, just let me know. So anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.